What's going on, guys? Hope everybody is super safe at home from the virus that cannot be named quarantine. I'm going to be completely straight up with you. This episode I've already done once. I recorded it, noticed that my camera was in the wrong corner of the screen and was covering up some stuff that was actually relatively important to the actual scene itself. It also ended up being like 45 minutes long, and I didn't feel like going through all of that footage. So I'm going to kind of speed through this episode and show you what I do at the very ends and kind of while I'm doing it, instead of like 30 minutes of time-lapse footage and 10 minutes of me talking. There's really no point in doing that. So I've got two challenges for this episode. They are both very, very similar from the last episode. So if you haven't watched that yet, go ahead and go back and watch. I kind of go a little bit more in detail in that video than I will in this one, since it's kind of the same thing. I wouldn't say that either of them are any more difficult. They pretty much follow the exact same kind of mindset. It's just to crack me. And these two programs are off of the website crackme.one. It's a really great website for finding kind of beginners reverse engineering challenges, kind of similar to CTFs, but kind of not. But yeah, without further ado, let's just go right into it. So we've got the first one called Keechak x86. We're going to go ahead and run strings on that. Should have already been in here. Desktop, CD reversing, CD exercises / Keechak. Okay, apparently nothing's wanting to work with me already. All right, so we're in there. Let's go ahead and run strings, Keechak, and we're going to pipe it out to strings.txt. All this does is run through the binary and spit out strings that could potentially be interesting. We don't really know. So running through this, a bunch of random gibberish. That's most of what you'll get with strings. And then we've got this prompt right here. So we can go ahead and copy this over. We're going to assume that this is what we want. And this probably is as well. So we can confirm that by going ahead and running Keechak. We get the password prompts just like we see over on strings. And let's just do... don't forget to like and subscribe. That's probably going to be the password. No, surprisingly not. So we see that we got to error. So obviously that's the end of that kind of, I call it execution trees. It's probably not an actual thing. We want to get here. In order to get there, I'm assuming we've got to get the right password. So we're going to keep running through strings because a lot of times they'll just have it in plain text and we can kind of get a quick win very fast. So running through here, we see gets. That's what's getting from the command line. Printf, puts. We've got string comp. So if you watch last week's or was it last week? Yeah, something like that. If you watch the last episode, then you know that string comp is kind of the thing to look for with a lot of these like really easy, low-hanging fruit type challenges. String comp just literally, it compares two strings. It's like very straightforward. So obviously if we can find where it's comparing two strings, one of the strings is going to be the one that we supplied and the other one is going to be the one that we should have supplied, the actual like correct password. So it's very good to know that string comp is in here. That means that it's probably going to be pretty easy. So if we can't find it here soon, we honestly can go ahead and jump right into IDA. That's what I'm going to go ahead and do. So let's jump into IDA. Open up a new screen. Go to x86 to PE. So it takes us to our start point real quick. So here's our string comp right here. We are going to go to the next instruction, set a breakpoint on it, play it out to our breakpoint, which for some reason didn't work. There we go. Play out to our breakpoint. We get a password prompt. Let's just like and subscribe. All right, so we hit the breakpoint. that's exactly where we need to be. So let's go over to our registers real quick. Hopefully, come on. I can't even bring this window down. Just simple stuff. All right, so we've got, that looked interesting. So that's like and subscribe. We can kind of see that pretty clearly. Let me make sure that that's what that is. Make sure, yeah, so this is the part that was being covered up by the camera the last time I filmed this. So yeah, we can kind of see like and subscribe here. So that's the input that we gave. But we want the input that we're looking for, and that's probably going to be this one right here. That would kind of follow since that's ECX. So we would be passing ECX and that's EDX. So those would be, you know, pretty typical registers to use as the command line arguments. And then EAX is typically what is returned by the actual function itself. So we just got done calling string comp. String comp returns 0 if the two strings are the exact same, and it returns 1 or a non-zero number, but typically 1 if the strings are different. So we see here EAX is 1, so obviously the two strings were not the same. So let's go ahead and jump in here and see what this string is. So we can kind of see our string right here. So we've got like and subscribe, and then we've got low cracker. That's weird. Might have had something mess up here just by where we put our breakpoint. So let's go ahead and stop it. We're going to rerun it on the new breakpoint. I think I might have put the breakpoint at the wrong place. Like and sub. Notice our passwords are getting shorter and shorter. That's terrible security. Okay, so we hit our breakpoint. Do we hit it here, I hope? That's where I'm hoping we hit it. No, it doesn't look like we did. General registers. No, we may have. So that's, yeah, so we've got like and subscribe here in EAX. Okay. So we're looking through these variables, nothing super interesting. So we're going to go ahead and step once. So now we are on the next command and we've got, okay, so this is different. I don't know exactly what happened last time. I'm wondering if maybe we had a password that was too long and actually messed with it. Because if you see this, we've got hello cracker. I'm assuming that's not a racial thing. All right, so let's go ahead and plop out of that. I'm gonna run it, see if that's the password. Hello cracker, and we get the key. So that's how, that's how that works. Essentially, we just set a breakpoint on the string comp command. We ran it, and basically right before the string comp command, the two arguments were loaded into registers, and all it took was us actually reading those registers in order to figure it out. One of the registers, I believe it was ECX, contains our, one of the registers, which I believe was ECX, contained our argument, the password that we supplied. And then the other register, I believe EDX, I might have those two mixed up, had the password that we were supposed to use, the correct password. So that was a relatively easy one. The next one, I'm going to be honest, I believe it's actually a little bit easier than this. So pretty quick video. Let's exit out of all of this. We can clear out our notes. Hop into command. And this is going to be GUI. That was a weird sentence to say, wasn't it? All right, so let's hop into GUI. We'll go ahead and run it. So we run GUI. Please enter the serial key. Like and subscribe. Wrong serial key, try again. So this one's going to get us stuck in a loop, which, it doesn't really change anything with the way that we're, going to analyze it, but it's just something to note. So let's go ahead and run strings on it. and strings. Let's see if we can find anything interesting. I'm not going to spend too long on this because it's kind of boring to watch me running through a text document full of gibberish. So, not exactly thrilling material there. A bunch of gibberish at the very beginning. It's pretty typical. Now we're starting to get into function calls and imports and all of that fun stuff. DLLs, days of the week. There's just no telling what you're going to find. So let's search for one of the phrases that we saw. Let's run it again. This is kind of a good way to kind of find a point where something's recognizable. So let's go to please. That's weird. Yeah, there we go. So I'm assuming that's going to be the dialog box XML. Then we've got please enter the serial key. That's the title of the window. Yeah, nothing just super interesting here. What about... I'm not gonna... Damn it. Wrong serial key. So let's search for that string. Search up. There we go. Nothing really interesting there. Well, okay, so we found wrong serial key. That's the prompt that we get whenever we type in something wrong. Then we've got about, that's this right here. But we've got this up here, cracking lessons. So if you look at the window itself, that's not a string that we can recognize from the window. So I'm just going to, go ahead and assume that that might be the password that we're looking for, and it is. So the lesson to be learned there, I'm going to run through it in IDA, either way, but the lesson to be learned there is that sometimes it's as easy as just kind of searching for strings. All I did was Control F there, and I was able to crack the software. So let's go ahead and open it up in IDA, and we'll kind of do, a very quick run through of how this works. Open up GUI. So since this is a GUI program, we're not going to really, the beginning of it at least is a little bit different. So, I found this the last time that I did it. It was a little bit easier to just go ahead and jump into the dialog function. The dialog function is where all of the actual, user interface is happening. That's the dialog that pops up. So even the string comparisons are going to happen in there, as you're about to see. So, we couldn't find, I ran through it last time, and I don't believe I could find the actual string comp function running in this program. But if we look very, very quickly, we can see, the CMP command here. I believe there might be another one too, but I might be wrong on that. Yes, we've got one here as well. So let's just start by throwing a breakpoint on that one, and we'll throw a breakpoint on that one. You really never know. We can actually see the string here. So it might be worthwhile to kind of follow the flow of the program here, but there's not too much point there. We're going to go ahead and set those two breakpoints, and we will run it. Right, so it's popping up the box somewhere, maybe. Oh, we're running a little bit slow. That's different. All right, so we've got a comp before it actually shows up. So this comparison is not anything interesting. We don't really need to worry about that. So I went ahead and removed the breakpoint, and we're going to continue. So then we've got the actual dialog box popping up. So we're going to enter our serial key, like and subscribe. And then we hit our next comparison. So let's see if this comparison is, basically what we're looking for, which is a comparison between the string that we supplied and the string that is, represents the correct password. So we've got this right here, and if we open it up, you can kind of see it in that window, but I'll open it up just for, shits and giggles. So we've got like and subscribe. So this right here is the register containing the password that we passed. So that is EAX. Yeah, so that's EAX. That contains the password that we supplied. And then we've got ECX right here. And I'm going to assume that contains the password that we're looking for. Cracking lessons is the string that's stored at that address. So we're going to pretend like we don't already know that that's the correct password. Restart it. Remove all of our breakpoints. I know that there's a hotkey for that somewhere, but I don't know what it is. So we're just going to... yes, we'll just run it. Supply the correct password, or what we're assuming is the correct password. Check it. We hit the breakpoint somewhere on the screen. We continue. Continue again. Okay, apparently, here's the breakpoint right here. So we're going to remove that breakpoint, and we get well done. So, I walk through it two different ways. Obviously, it's sometimes especially with CTFs like this, it's going to be really, really easy. You're going to be able to find the password in strings. If you're doing a CTF competition and there's the possibility of that low-hanging fruit, might as well try it. You're going to find interesting, potentially useful things in the output of strings either way. You can find function imports, function exports, which I'm sure we'll get to. Whenever I find string compare, that's something that I look for, once I pop up IDA and, the other tools that we'll jump into, I'm sure, at some point in this series. But it's just kind of a good, really easy, it's kind of like the nmap of binary analysis or reverse engineering. You run it and you kind of let it go in the background while you're drinking your coffee because it's going to be a long night because you kind of suck at this. And, that's kind of like the first thing that you do. Then you comb through the list and you may not find anything particularly useful, but if you do find it, you wasted a total of 0 time opening up IDA, unless you're like me and you waste a ton of time opening up IDA just to prove a point. So then you just kind of follow the kind of logical flow in your head. Okay, what are we doing? We're supplying an input. We're comparing that with some other magical term, this other string. And if it's the same, then we've got the password. So what you do then is you just look for that password either in memory or look for it stored somewhere within the executable. And you can either patch it, which I didn't do here. I'll explain patching probably later on in the series, or you just pull the password out of memory, rerun it, and use the correct password. If you don't have strings and you just really want to kill yourself like I do, you open up IDA and you can do it that way. So you look for string comp or compare because, logically that's what the program is all based on. It's comparing strings. That was a lot. Probably too much. But thank you guys all for watching. The support for this series has actually been really cool. I'm surprised that a lot of people actually want to see this series. This one and the reverse engineering series is doing really well, even though I haven't updated that in ages. But thank you guys for watching. It's been amazing seeing everybody's support through, some really strange series that I've started. If you guys have any recommendations, any questions, anything that you want clarified, anything that I didn't clarify well enough, go ahead and leave a comment. And, as I've said before, likes and subscribes are always welcome. Likes helps me battle the YouTube algorithm that likes to put down hacking and technological material. So it's always appreciated. Thank you guys.